Hi Flosstube, I'm Pam. Welcome to my channel, Stitching in the Land of Good Enough. Today is Tuesday, September 27th, and is that the date today? Yep, that's the date today. And this is Flosstube number 74. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you are finding me for the first time, hi. I hope you enjoyed the video and maybe stick around for some more. And if you're a returning viewer, thanks for coming back. I apologize for missing last week. It was last week, we'll just maybe jump right into some life update. In this video, by the way, I talk about cross stitching. I'm gonna talk a little life update. I'm gonna talk about what I've been stitching. I have a little bit of a shop update, maybe a little retreat tease, bird update, because my other passion is my backyard birds, and then some plans. So that's the itinerary today. So last week, I didn't end up filming on Tuesday. I really thought I was gonna get back on a weekly Tuesday schedule. But last week, the town that my shop is in had a block party on Wednesday evening, and I spent all of Tuesday getting ready for that. It was just, I still had like spring flowers in my windows. I needed to swap my windows out to look like fall. And then I had to like figure out what I was putting outside on my table for the block party. And there was just a lot of logistical stuff and running around that had to be done last Tuesday. Thus, no Flosstube. But I'm here today, and I will be here next week, I promise. And we'll get into that in shop update. Other than that, I don't have a lot of life update. It's not a whole lot going on in the land of Pam. I am shaking the camera though like crazy. I hope that that's not coming across on your end. Anyway, so we're gonna jump right into stitching because I stitched on a lot in the past 2 weeks. We will start with my temps. So I am stitching this year for Daily Temperature Stitch Along, Christie's Corners, Temperature Library 2. And I spent all day this past Sunday, I think I got a knick-knack done, and I'm feeling good about it. So the premise is that you stitch a book for every day, and the color of the book depends on the high temperature of the day. And then every shelf is a month, and every shelf has a little knick-knack. So this is September. So I'm caught up on my dates for September, and I had been missing some books in the past month because I had run out of a color, and I had to grab a color for the 81 to 83 range. So those are all filled in now too. And then I got that knick-knack done. So I was missing August's knick-knack. I still need to put in, I was missing July's. Still have to put in August's. And then there's one that goes here for September. So I feel like if every week I can get a knick-knack in, then I will be caught up fairly quickly. So that is where it is. We're starting to I had a dark green book. That was a cold day. And I think these are gonna be mostly greens. So starting to get cool. On my drive into the shop this morning, I did notice that there are some leaf changing happening. There were some fun colors. Not a lot yet. In my area, we don't tend to get a lot of color pop until about mid-October. Although even last year, it was actually kind of late. I feel like we were almost into November before I really started seeing some good colors in the leaves. But I was a little nervous that we weren't going to get any leaf color this year because it was so dry, and we were in a pretty severe drought for most of the summer in my area. And the trees were not looking super healthy and happy. And I was afraid they were just going to October 1st would come and they would just turn brown and go whoop and drop their leaves to the ground. But I don't think that's going to happen. I do believe though that it's not going to be as colorful a year as normal. I don't know how we got to talking about leaves. Okay, I have finished. So last video I showed you, I don't have the chart with me, that I had started Stitcher by Luminous Fiber Arts. and I haven't finished. Da, 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 da. It's so good. So I put the buttons on, and this was a community decision on my last week's Wednesday night stitching. Actually, that was probably 2 Wednesdays ago, on whether I should use white thread or red thread. And I picked the red, and it's so cute. It's so cute. I'm so happy with this. I gotta get it up close for you. Yeah. I can never tell, I can't see through the fabric. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited about it. I do think though, last time I mentioned that I might stitch it again. I don't think I'm gonna stitch it again. Not because it wasn't super fun, because it was wicked fun. I have other things I have to stitch on. Unless I decide to do it for a retreat small. We'll talk about that in plans. But I'll probably move up. Doing something new is always more exciting than restitching something you've already stitched, Okay, so I'm gonna put that in a different pile because that needs to get FFO'd. Okay, focus project. My camera is so wobbly. I need to stop touching the table. Sorry, there's like an earthquake just happened. I don't know why my table is so wobbly today. And you guys are all probably screaming at me, Pam, it's wobbly every time. You're always shaking the camera. Anyway, so every month this year, there are 2 projects that get focused on, one in the first half of the month, one in the second half of the month. In September, first half of the month was Feed the Birds by the Needle Love Company. And I do want to apologize. I did not mention in my last video that I'm 99.9% sure this is out of print. It is an old chart. I gotta find the copyright. 1993. So my junior year of high school. So it's an oldie. That being said, it's not one of those like super dear charts that like you're gonna pay hundreds of dollars for on eBay. I do know a few viewers last week or in the past 2 weeks have reached out to me to say that they found it on eBay and it was reasonably priced, like in the $10 to $15 range. So I can't get it for you, but you should be able to find it out there. And I really thought I was going to finish it this month. And I suppose I still have, what's today, the 27th? I still have 3 days of stitching left. I could get it done, but I kind of just reached my limit on it, and that's okay. I'd rather enjoy my stitching while I'm stitching it than feel like I have to meet a goal and get cranky about it. Unless I have to meet a goal. This is attached by my, okay. I'm having trouble opening it up because my needle was holding it shut. Okay. That being said, I made a ton of progress. So I got all the letters in. I got that lantern feeder in. The chickadee is finished. The goldfinch is finished. There's gonna be a woodpecker in this D, and that's this little like woodpecker hole. I don't think that came out fantastic, but once it's finished and it's framed, it's not gonna matter. Good enough. So that's where it's at. I don't know when it's gonna come out again. Probably not till next year. But I don't know. I was just kind of done with it. And it wasn't quite time for me to do my new start. I was doing my second focus project of the month was going to be a fall start for the first day of fall. We're gonna get to that because I have a new start. But I did work on some other things. I pulled some things that I thought would just be easy stitching that were going to get, their focus was gonna be later in the fall. But I figured they could get a little stitching ahead of time, right? So I pulled out Arranging the KitchenAids by Ink Circles. I don't have the pattern to show you. So I was happily, oh, I do. I actually have the picture. So this is what it's gonna look like when it's done. It's super cute, super cute. So I was happily stitching away on it. I don't remember where I was last time, but I think I stitched all of this one night, and then I went to bed, and then in the morning, my husband came in the room and he said, so, your project that you were working on. I was like, oh no, the dogs. I don't know which dog. I have suspicions that it was not the puppy, but our older basset hound attacked my floss ring and had a really good time with it and ate the pattern. So I need to replace the pattern, but I was having a bit of a freak out because this color is a Gentle Art. I can't even tell you. I believe that it's cast iron skillet, and it's one that I haven't been able to get into the shop every time I try to order it. And dye lots, this is all I would have had left for thread. There was a lot of outline still left to be done. And there was so much already done that an extreme dye lot change would have looked bizarre. So the option would be to start the whole thing over again. And I was like, no, I'm done. Like, we're gonna throw it in the trash. Done, not starting it all over again. But when I looked at the mass of floss, which was basically like a multicolored yarn ball that had been unraveled at that point, like she really did a number on it, I was able to pull out a skein's worth of cast iron skillet. And I think, and for whatever reason, she did not snarl this and make it really gross and destroy it. So I think that this will be enough. I'm hoping. Because, I mean, it's an adorable chart. I don't want to restitch it. I'm already that far in. I do want to point out that my floss ring was well up on a table. I don't know what, and the chair that she would needed to have jumped up on to get at said floss ring had a stool on it. So my stitching chair, when I am not in it, I put a footstool up on top of it so the dogs can't jump up there. And then on top of the footstool is usually where my stitching is. So it's high, they can't get at it. And I put the stool on the chair because A, I don't want them being gross in my stitching chair. You know, dogs can be gross. And two, it's right by the window, and if they can get in that chair, they will just lose their minds all day barking at every single person that walks in front of my house. And that's super annoying. So I don't know what possessed this dog to get at the table and eat my floss ring and eat my pattern. But I think that it's salvageable. I'm really hoping that that's enough cast iron skillet. I think it is. If I wasn't already this far in, I don't think it would be, but I think it will be enough. Whew. So obviously I then needed to find a different project because that was toast until I can order myself a new pattern. So I decided to get out because this is comfort stitching in like its purest form. Sir Thomas by Glendon Place. This is the best stitching. Like when you just want to relax, you don't want to have to think a lot about it. And I got a ton done. And I don't know, I'm stitching it on a 28 count linen, which is normally bigger than I stitch on, which is another reason I think it's just nice, easy stitching for me. And it's nice block colors. So here is where we are at. Hold on. You're not gonna be able to see, so I finished up I was working on this brown band right here. So I had down here, I finished up like right here. And then I started working on this, we're gonna call it like ecru. I actually think it's like 712 maybe. So, I mean, seriously, all of this cream color. I know it doesn't super show up on the white fabric, but I mean, that was a ton of stitching I got done. I don't know if you can tell, but he sparkles. There's sparkles in there. I didn't get to work on any sparkles this time, but that's okay. And then it was time to get out Junebug for Fancy Folk Stitching. It was that time of month. I host a not a Hawk Run Hollow. I do host a Hawk Run Hollow Zoom. I host a Fancy Folk Zoom on the 4th Thursday of every month. So it was time to get that out. And I am stitching for that Junebug by Nora Corbett. And got some good progress done, I think. I mean, it only comes out for a few hours once a month. I did a little bit more of the 1/1 skin that I'm doing up here. So like this lighter colored patch, I worked on that. I don't know that I'll do the 1/1. I mean, I like the look of it, but it just seems like a lot of extra work. So my next Fancy Lady, I don't think I'm gonna do the skin 1/1. I'll go back to 2/2. And then I worked in here. I'm still working down in here. So I did in here, I worked in here. So it's a little fuller than you saw her last time. I can't wait till I get to all this like green. She's so fun. I love her. All right, so that's that. I need a coffee break. Sorry, I keep wiggling the camera. I don't know why it's wiggly today. Okay, and then I'm hosting a stitch along for A Tisket a Tasket by Rosewood Manor. And so every month I try to get a section done. And if you'd like to see the sections, I have them posted at the top of my Facebook group, which is Stitching the Land of Good Enough on Facebook. It's always linked down in the description box. So this is what it's gonna look like when it's done. A Tisket a Tasket by Rosewood Manor. She's lovely. She's so fancy. And, whoa, all my floss almost went flying. So I started it at the beginning of the month and I got about halfway done with the section. And then last night I finished it. I mean, I didn't finish the whole thing, but I finished the section I was working on. So here's where the whole thing is at right now. And this is where I was working on this border. So these bottom 4 flower motifs. It's so good. It's so good. It's not an easy stitch though. It's a lot of color changing. So I'm thinking next month, which is right around the corner, the end of the week, I've been trying to decide where I want to go next. And I'm thinking so I've got that done, this done, and this center motif done. I think next time I'm going to just work on this whole like band right here. That'll be next month because I want to be able to jump over here after that. And I feel like I need this band done to count this flower off of it. So that's what I'm going to be starting probably before we chat again. I'll start working on that section and that should be a whole lot easier than what I've been working on. It should just be kind of, I'm hoping, repetitive stitching. And that brings me to my new start. So fun, so fun. So I try to do a seasonal start for every season every year. And so for the first day of fall, I started the Fall on the Farm series by Little House Needleworks. So it's 9 charts, and I'm gonna stitch them all in one piece. And so I started with number 1. Sorry, there was somebody walking past the store. They were loud. It's so cute. Look at how much I got done already. So I started this on Friday. Today's Tuesday, and that's where it's at. So I've got some of the wagon done, some of the farm stand, the grass down there. That's, I think, like an apple basket. What is it? The name of the chart number 1 is Farm Fresh, which makes sense. It's a farm stand. So super fun. So I'm going to stitch on this the rest of the month. And if we're going to get a little bit into plans here. So in October, the focus projects were, that's a good question. I'm actually not sure. Hold on, I'll be right back. I'm not even going very far, so I'll sing you a little song. And I've already lost the thread of my song. That was the hold music. It wasn't very good this time. Okay, so let me just look at my little list. October, okay. First focus project of the month for October is supposed to be Princess Eliana by Mirabilia. I UFO'd her back in May. So she's not coming out for a focus project in October. So that leaves me with, the first 15 days of October to do whatever the heck I want. So I may just keep working on Fall on the Farm until I get bored of it. Or, this is probably what I should do, actually one of 2 other things. I should probably get the first section of Tisket to Tasket done right away so that I can start an extra section of it the latter half of the month, because I'm trying to right now I have it in 15 sections, but I'd like it finished within a year, which means I have to get 3 extra sections done somewhere along the way. So this would be a perfect time to do that. So I may try to get an extra section of Tisket to Tasket in. I should do that. Or I've been going back and forth. I'm going to a retreat the first weekend in November. I'm going to stitch in as in like a hotel, INN, so stitch in at the farm. And that's at East Hill Farm in Troy, New Hampshire. And I don't believe that there is space available currently, but I do know that there's a wait list. I don't think it's a very long wait list. And always, as you get closer to a retreat, sometimes people back out. So anyway, I'm going to that retreat at the beginning of November, and there's a smalls exchange, and I've been going back and forth on whether I'm going to do a smalls or not. I don't know. But this would also be a great time to get that done. We'll see. But as of right now, I have days left that I can still work on this without having to make that decision. But it's so fun, I don't think I want to stop. Okay. That is all the stitching. I was going to do plans at the end, but we've already talked a little bit about plans. Oh my gosh. I hope like my floor isn't going to like fall into the basement. Like, why am I so wobbly today? I meant to say this when I showed the temperature chart way back at the beginning, but I've decided on next year's temperature chart. I have officially decided that I'm going to do Christy's Corners bird chart. Christy, it occurs to me that I don't know the title of the chart. I call it the bird on a wire temperature chart. So there's a bird for every day of the year. There's a wire for every month of the year. There are some little doodads, and I had been going back and forth on whether I wanted to do a chart that had doodads, but they're squirrels. So I could always just put a squirrel into the empty spot. I'm gonna do it. It's gonna be fun. What I'm excited about, I'm gonna link it. I'm gonna link Christy's Etsy shop down in the description box below so you can check it out. What I like about it is it's the first one that I will do in which I can stitch the high and the low. I'm kind of excited about that. Okay, that brings us to, is that all my plans? Oh, the second focus project of next month is going to be Sir Thomas. So he's going to get a ton done on him next month. I'm very excited about that. Okay, so now we're going to talk shop update. I own a cross stitch store called Stitch New England that I opened in November of 2021. So we are almost one whole year into the business. It's been an exciting ride so far. So every video I do a little update. I'm going to do a little bit of a retreat tease. As you all know, I am hosting the first ever Stitch New England retreat in October of 2023, and I keep getting questions about it. So I'm not giving you information today, but what I am going to tell you is next Tuesday, October 4th, I will be doing a video whose sole purpose is going to be to talk about the retreat information. It's going to talk about how you can register. It's going to talk about the timeline for that. So if you are not already subscribed to this channel, you might want to do that so that you know that that video is up and posted. If you think about it, I don't always think about this. You might want to hit like the little, I think it's like a bell that lets you get notified when I post a new video. It's not going to matter if you don't watch the video the first day it comes out. I don't want to put you in a panic and make you feel like, oh my gosh, but if you're one of those folks who likes to know the things immediately, you might want to hit the thing that lets you get notified when I post videos. And if you forget to watch the video next week, I will be putting the same information out in next week's newsletter. So not this Friday's newsletter, but next week's newsletter will also have that information. And it will be posted on my website as well. So look for all of that information next week. All right, moving on from retreat information, I have 2 in-person classes coming up this fall. I am teaching a beginner cross stitch class. So if you are local and you are been wanting to get your best friend into cross stitch and you think she needs to take a class, I have, or he or they, I have one coming up in October. It's a Tuesday night. I want to say it's the 18th. It occurs to me that I should have written the date down. But my events are always in the event section on the website, stitchnewengland.com. So you can find all the good information there. So there's like a beginner cross stitch class coming up in a few weeks. And then Nicole Amaro is coming back to teach a class on ornament finishing. So she did this class last year around this time, well, in the fall. So it's a perfect class if you are not comfortable with fully finishing your ornaments. She'll show you how to do that. She's a really great teacher, and how to do the DMC cording that you can make to go around your ornament gets covered. So that's going to happen in November. It's also, if you are like me and not a super confident finisher and you need a refresher class on how to do ornaments, you can also take the class. And again, these are in-person classes. There's also space available still in the Floss clubs. I have Floss of the Month clubs for Weeks Dye Works, Classic Colorworks, Belle Soie, and MPI, Needlepoint Ink, which is a silk, if you aren't familiar with that. So you can find information about those on the website as well. There's a whole page just for Floss clubs. All right, let's talk about my favorite things of the week. I don't have a lot. I mean, all the things are always my favorites, but I wanted to highlight a few of them. Really think this is adorable. So this is Little Red Schoolhouse Pink Heap 1862 by Pansy Patch Quilts and Stitchery. I love that red on the super grungy fabric. So cute. I'm not usually an alphabet sampler person or a red sampler person, but I don't know. There's something about this one. I think it's the Schoolhouse, which then I get the song going in my head. Sorry. This is also like this has to be stitched. I'm toying with maybe doing this for my small 6 change. Anyway, it's The Harvest Night by Manny Didana. And I think I showed it in the newsletter, but if you don't get the newsletter, I'm gonna show it again because I'm in love with this. I love light or white houses and the pumpkins and the moon. I love it. And so then I also have the fabric for it. It's 32 count. It's like a grungy bluey gray. Oh my gosh, I love it. And it also has fancy little pins that go with it and rickrack. I'm low on the rickrack. So if you are somebody who knows that you want the rickrack because you want to finish it just like that, you might want to snag them now. It calls for to be stitched in Belle Soie silk. I have the colors of Belle Soie. I think all except the Walk the Plank I'm already out of. But my concern with it is this is a small pillow. You are not going to need the full skeins of Belle Soie to finish this. I have made I have done a overdyed cotton floss conversion. So if you grab this pattern from me and you want to know what the conversion is, shoot me an email and I'll send it to you. Okay. Then secondly, also by Manny Didana, is My Garden in Autumn. And I'm highlighting this because if you were paying attention to Expo, there were a bunch of designers that did that Autumn Garden palette that all use these colors by Cottage Garden Threads. So this is one of them. It's cute. I may actually do this for the small too, mostly because I like these pins. I love anything that has like pins that go with it. There's something about pins. They're like super fun. But I'm showing it to you because she dyed some fabric and palm trim to go with it. So the palm trim comes with the fabric, but here's the thing. It's a 32 count linen. Any of the patterns, I think, that called for this thread pack is gonna go with this trim and this fabric. You know what I'm saying? So if you're interested in any of the other patterns from that line, from that Autumn Garden palette line, you might want to think about that fabric pack. Okay, I think that's all I needed to talk about for shop updates. That brings us to bird update. So if you've been watching me for any number of time, you know that I am absolutely fanatical about my backyard birds. They're cute and they have such fun personalities and I love them, like so much. I don't have a lot to talk about. We're kind of in that like weird in-between space where some birds are migrating out. The newer birds, the winter birds haven't migrated in. You never know quite what you're gonna get in the winter. But, oh my gosh, I'm having a chipmunk situation at my feeder. Currently, he or she, I don't know how to tell the difference in a chipmunk, but has really discovered that my safflower seed that I put out to deter the grackles and starlings is nice, easy. He can stick a lot in its face and then run off and deposit them in his little chipmunk hole and then come back and shove his face full again. Like he's probably back like every 10 minutes. He's depleting my seeds. But he's so cute. And I keep thinking he needs to survive the winter too. Chipmunks are adorable. Anyway, so I have a little bit of a chipmunk problem. And I keep thinking, and the hot seed actually doesn't deter chipmunks. So once he's discovered the feeder, there's nothing I can do about it. I just need to accept him or her and give, in my head it's a him, I don't know why, give him a name. I don't know, what should I name my chipmunk? I think there's just the one. He gets really angry when I come in the backyard too. Like, if you are not familiar with chipmunks in person, they make this super annoying chipping noise. And it's super high pitched. And yeah, there's been a lot of that happening in my backyard. But he needs a name. I'm not feeling creative enough for it. I did name something else though. The door to the store is heavy and it's hard to keep it propped open. And when it's nice out like this, I don't want to run like this sort of like fall weather and a little bit in the spring too. I want to have the door open, but I can't prop it open. Like, I needed to go buy a statue that was small enough that I could easily pick it up, but heavy enough that it would keep the door open. And I succeeded last week because I really wanted it for the block party, so my door could be open for the block party. And so it's this cute little cat, and I named it Ada. And so if you come into the store, you need to make sure that you find her and say hello. I'm convinced that she comes alive at night and prowls around the shop. All right, back to my bird update. I have had this past 2 weeks nuthatches that are one of my favorite birds because they make this like really low pitched like beep, 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 beep noise as they go up and down the trees. And they always look a little grumpy and I love them. And I have also had, and I don't get these very often for whatever reason, I don't know. I've had a few titmice this past week. And they are also adorable because their eyes are so dark and big in their little heads and they've got the little thing. I love them. I did also briefly want to talk about last week. I was not last week, but you know what I mean. Last video, I was talking all about how I had swapped out my seed for safflower seed because it deters the grackles and the starlings. And I may have mentioned this and I can't remember, but I wanted to make sure I mentioned it in case I didn't last time. Safflower seed is like a favorite of cardinals. And I wanted to mention it because I know for a lot of people, cardinals are like a special bird and they have special meaning. And so if you're trying to draw them into your yard and you're not having success, put out some safflower because my backyard at this point is full of cardinals. Okay, that's it. That's all I have to talk about. I will see you all next Tuesday for official retreat news. In the meantime, I hope you'll get lots of stitching in and that you stay safe and healthy and that you're happy. And I'll see you all in a week. Bye, everyone.